Today, Afghanistan is once again a safe sanctuary for terrorist groups and proxies, with devastating consequences and mounting security challenges for its immediate neighbors.
India echoes UNAMA's concern over airstrikes and condemns the killing of innocent women, children, and cricketers in Afghanistan.
And today, Afghanistan is once again a safe sanctuary for terrorist groups and proxies, with devastating consequences and mounting security challenges for its immediate neighbors, particularly Pakistan and the region and beyond. Regrettably, instead of seeing the Taliban take concrete, effective, and decisive actions against terrorist groups, we saw a steep surge in terrorist attacks against Pakistan, planned, financed, and orchestrated using Afghan soil under their watch. Just this year alone, we have lost close to 1,200 lives to terrorism emanating from Afghanistan. And since 2022, more than 214 Afghan terrorists, including suicide bombers, have been neutralized in Pakistan during counterterrorism operations. Madam President, terrorism emanating from Afghan soil poses the gravest threat to Pakistan's national security and sovereignty. Terrorist entities including ISIL-K, Al-Qaeda, TTP, ETIM, BLA, and Majid Brigade enjoy safe havens in Afghanistan's territory, with dozens of terrorist camps enabling cross-border infiltration and violent attacks, including suicide bombings. And as corroborated by the UN's monitoring team, TTP, with nearly 6,000 fighters, is the largest UN-designated terrorist group based on Afghan soil. Pakistan has successfully thwarted multiple infiltration attempts of TTP and BLA terrorists from across Afghanistan, confiscating significant caches of sophisticated military-grade modern equipment left behind by international forces in Afghanistan. These efforts have had a human cost, huge sacrifices by our valiant security forces and civilians. Elements within Taliban rank and file are supporting these terrorist groups and allowing them safe passage to operate with impunity and free will. There is also credible evidence of collaboration among these terrorist groups through joint training, illicit weapons trade, refuge to terrorists, and coordinated attacks against Pakistan using the Afghan soil. And not surprisingly, one detractor in the region, opportunist and spoiler as ever, moved fast to intensify its sponsorship of terrorist activity through material, technical, and financial support to terrorist groups and proxies active against Pakistan from Afghan soil. We believe the UNAMA must strengthen efforts as mandated to prevent illicit trade and destabilizing accumulation of small arms and light weapons and their diversion in Afghanistan and the region. Madam President, despite serious security concerns, we have made every effort to engage with the Taliban authorities, including during the recent round of talks in Doha and Istanbul. And we are grateful to the governments of Qatar and Turkey for their sincere efforts. The Taliban must take concrete and verifiable action against terrorist groups based on their soil, failing which Pakistan will take all necessary defensive measures for the protection of its citizens, territory, and sovereignty. We also expect UNAMA to provide an objective assessment of the security situation at the border. Incidents related to border clashes are primarily an issue of terrorism and peace and security. The Taliban's failure to honor their CT obligations has worsened the security landscape of our region and added to the misery of ordinary Afghans who are suffering as a direct result of their inhumane policies and misplaced priorities. Sanctions, a dysfunctional banking system, diminished aid, poverty, terrorism, narcotics production, human rights violations continue to define Afghanistan's political and socio-economic fabric today, largely as a result of Taliban's own doing.
As Afghanistan's contiguous neighbor, India deeply values its civilizational relationship and centuries-old bonds of friendship, and this history continues to guide our actions in forging deeper ties with the people of Afghanistan. Over the years, India has been a strong advocate for peace and stability in Afghanistan. Coordinated regional and international cooperation on key issues concerning Afghanistan is paramount, as is strongly engaging relevant parties for promoting peace, stability, and development in the country. We have accordingly participated in all rounds of the Doha Working Group meetings and in other regional fora. Madam President, provision of humanitarian assistance and building the capacities of the Afghan people have always remained India's priorities. We have already more than 500 development partnership projects across all provinces, and as decided during Foreign Minister Mottaki's recent visit to India, India would further deepen its engagement in development cooperation projects, particularly in the sectors of healthcare, public infrastructure, and capacity building. We will continue working with UN agencies in critical areas such as health, food security, education, and sports. The visit of Mr. Azizi, the Afghan Minister for Industry and Commerce, to India also helped further cooperation on connectivity, trade facilitation, and market access. Healthcare is an important need, particularly now for the Afghan people. In this regard, India has undertaken the establishment of a thalassemia center, a modern diagnostic center, and a replacement of the heating system at the Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health in Kabul. Additionally, India will construct a 30-bed hospital in Kabul's Bagrami district, an oncology center and a trauma center in Kabul, and 5 maternity health clinics. About 75 prosthetic limbs have been successfully fitted to Afghan nationals. India also continues to extend medical assistance and provide high-quality healthcare treatment to Afghan nationals. During Mr. Mottaki's visit, India also gifted 20 ambulances to the Afghan people. Healthcare cooperation will be further augmented during the upcoming visit of the Afghan Minister of Public Health to India. India was among the first countries to provide humanitarian assistance in the aftermath of the earthquake in Afghanistan and continues to assist in reconstructing residential buildings in the earthquake-affected areas. India's comprehensive humanitarian support includes supply of food grain, social support items, school stationery, disaster relief materials, and pesticides. It also includes providing crucial material aid to address the urgent needs of the forcibly repatriated refugees in Afghanistan. Madam President, we have taken note of the Secretary General's report on the situation in Afghanistan, especially the difficult humanitarian concerns expressed therein. The involuntary return movements of over 2 million Afghans this year, contributing a population increase of 6% for Afghanistan in 2025, have created significant vulnerabilities necessitating enhanced protection, improved access to shelter and food and security, and need for durable solutions for sustainable reintegration. The Secretary General's report also highlights the severe humanitarian and economic impact resulting from recent border clashes and border crossing closures, displacing hundreds of families inside Afghanistan, disrupting vital trade, causing financial distress and widespread losses for farmers during the critical fruit harvest season, and threatening the livelihoods of the Afghan people. Member states this year issued the Awaza Political Declaration to address the unique challenges faced by landlocked developing countries, the LLDCs. It's incumbent on all not to weaponize trade and transit vulnerabilities. India echoes UNAMA's concern over airstrikes and condemns the killing of innocent women, children, and cricketers in Afghanistan. We add our voice to calls for paying full respect to the United Nations Charter and international law, with particular attention to protection of innocent civilians. We also note with grave concern the practice of trade and transit terrorism that the people of Afghanistan are being subjected to by the cynical closure of access for a landlocked country whose people are suffering numerous debilitating conditions since many years. These acts are in violation of WTO norms. Such open threats and acts of war against a fragile and vulnerable LLDC nation trying to rebuild in difficult circumstances constitute a blatant violation of the UN Charter and international law. While we condemn such acts, we also strongly support the territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence of Afghanistan. India continues to closely monitor the security situation in Afghanistan. The international community must coordinate efforts towards ensuring that entities and individuals designated by the UN Security Council, the ISIL and Al-Qaeda and their affiliates, including the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and proxies of the LET such as the Resistance Front, along with those who facilitate their operations, are no longer indulge in cross-border terrorism. Madam President, India calls for a pragmatic engagement with the Taliban. A coherent policy of engagement should incentivize positive actions. A focus on only punitive measures will only ensure that a business-as-usual approach continues, as we have been seeing now for the last 4.5 years. We call on the United Nations and the international community to adopt nuanced policy instruments that help bring sustainable benefits for the people of Afghanistan.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.